Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another F.L.O.W Presents. And if the turtleneck wasn't an indication, cold weather is coming, winter is coming. And we know that what that really means, right? That means that the sun is setting shorter. That means your Sabbath is cut a little earlier on the Friday evenings, but it cut a little early on Sabbaths. But it also means cuffing season is coming. So to all of you out there, I hope that you are going to be tuned in to our series Cuffing Season starting this Sabbath. So I want y'all to look on the screen. You see our panelists. We got Vonda Renee. She was hot. She was popping last time. She was very controversial, so they say. She's also family. So I want you all to give her some love. We got our boy Avery. It's been a long time. We miss you. We know that the chat always blows up when Avery says something, for better or for worse. And we have our new melanin magic, if that's a thing, putting out there. A sister from another sister, Magda. So thank you for joining us. And let's kick it off, everybody. Whoever feels so moved, what's cuffing season? What is cuffing season?
Guess I'm gonna go. So cuffing season, from what I know what cuffing season is, it's that time where like single folks, it happens around fall going into the winter, a little bit after the Valentines, where you could kind of kick somebody to the curb because you done got all the gifts you needed. Yeah, that's that time frame when single folks just don't want to be alone. It's cold, it's raining, at least in Florida, it's raining a lot down here, and no one's trying to be caught outside. We rather be single in the summer and not during the fall and winter.
Okay, appreciate it, Magda. Who else got it? What's cuffing season?
Her definition is pretty spot on as far as my knowledge of the topic goes. It is your time to find someone to go through the colder months with, so you're not alone. Nobody wants to be at the mall and look over and there's a couple being all cute and you by yourself in a big parka because you don't got nobody to cuddle with. So now is your chance
Not the big parka.
Find somebody, basically.
Apparently, we don't wear big parkas because it's cold. We wear big parkas because we're lonely, says Vonda Renee. Avery, you got anything to add to that? What's cuffing season for you? Anything? Any slight variation on that definition?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Because the we can't be outside as much as we want to, so we have to spend more time indoors. So yeah, cuffing season is definitely time for you to find somebody to spend some time with, just you, somewhere warm.
So cuffing season is essentially a time to connect with somebody else, sometime to find who you can cuddle with and spend those short or long winter nights, short winter days with. So if my understanding is correct, cuffing season is just an encouragement to get into a relationship, right? So nothing to be afraid of, or is there more to it?
So I think it's a season. It's a season. So it's not nothing to be afraid of, but it's sure, it's definitely a time to start settling down and maybe looking around for somebody to be in a relationship with. However, what I understand it to be is definitely it's for a time. It's a season, and with that there definitely comes some challenges. But yeah, you can be encouraged to find somebody during cuffing season for the season.
Whoa. If I heard you right, Avery, it sounds like you were hedging your bets. It sounds like as much as cuffing season could result in you having a relationship, you said it's for a season. You kind of emphasize that it's for a time. So wait, is there an expiration date on cuffing season? What do you think, Magna and Vonda?
There's definitely an expiration date on cuffing season. The point of cuffing season is literally, we need to find somebody by end of August, going into October. Go ahead and just kind of pick who you need to pick out and find that one. All right, we're gonna go through Thanksgiving, so you go avoid cooking your own meals. Then go through Christmas, so we could go ahead and get these gifts. All right, go ahead and go through the New Year, so I could get that New Year's kiss. And then Valentine roll around, let me get my gifts. 1 week out, I ghost you.
Wow. I hope everyone heard the timeline drop from Magda. Oh, please tell me if you're in the chat, you're loving this. Yo, Vondo, I see you got some reaction. What you got to say to that?
Wow. Okay. So as far as I knew, the timeline was supposed to stop before Valentine's Day because look, I already put all I had to buy you Christmas presents. I had to maybe meet your peoples. But like if we start getting to Valentine's Day, now I feel like I gotta write someone a card. I gotta go like find lovey things. And now you thinking that we gonna take it the extra distance, but that's not the plan. So about 2 weeks before Valentine's Day, as far as I knew, you were supposed to just kind of shuffle out of the picture, maybe start an argument that's like, you know what, maybe we're not supposed to be together and just fade out.
So essentially, maybe I'm the ignorant one here. And for everybody watching, I hope y'all hear this. It's essentially presumed that when you enter into cuffing season, if your relationship established sometime around late August, early September, you may or may not know the real intentions because you might just be a cuffing season partner. Is that what I'm hearing from y'all? Oh, nodded heads. Oh, don't get silent now. You better voice your strong opinion.
I have something to add. I think that there's the perks that you guys mentioned. I don't think it applies to everyone's cuffing season. I think that's like a little extra because some people's cuffing season is strictly cuffing and like cuddling, the spending the time, but all the extra, the holidays. If your birthday happens to be during cuffing season, then maybe. But those are maybes. I don't think those are like guarantees in cuffing season. I just wanted to mention that those seem a little extra. But I think she mentioned something about someone starting an argument during Valentine's Day. That's good cuffing season strategy right there to like end the relationship. That's textbook right there.
Wait, hold up. First of all, go ahead, Magna. I see you. You went for the mute button. Go ahead. Say what you got to say. We already know you got no chill, so don't try to act like you do now. Go ahead.
All that cuddling stuff, that's extra, okay? All that lovey-dovey cuddling stuff, putting on for the gram and all that stuff, that's the extra seasoning, okay? That's that extraness. We in it for the dates, the meals, the gifts, and we gonna go ahead and do what Sis said, and then go ahead and start that argument and go.
Hold on, Magda. I think you need to clarify for me, who is we?
Listen, it's for the single folks that just don't want to deal with the whole relationship thing. So if you really don't want a relationship, but you just kind of want that I guess that temporary relationship, but don't really want to go all in, that's for the single folks. That's for them. That's definitely for them.
It's so interesting because somebody from YouTube actually commented that cuffing season is also rationale for test driving a relationship. Oh, I got a big head nod from Magda. So Vondell, tell me about, are there strategies, are there techniques to approaching cuffing season? I think we also lost Vondell for a little bit. Did you hear, you got us now, Vondell? Are there strategies for cuffing season? Ooh, did I ask the wrong question? Is this too soon?
I know that there are strategies. I have not used any of them because I don't need any of them. I've never had to, but I know that there is definitely like people go into it with a game plan and like a timeline and okay, I'm getting this, I'm getting that. I know which buttons to hit, how to do this, that, and the third. I don't know all of that, but I know it exists.
Okay, so let me make sure to give everybody an out here. I'm not saying anyone here is speaking from in cuffing season expertise lens. I'm sure this is accumulated knowledge. But on the table right now, I really want to know because you mentioned, Vondell, this idea of, before Valentine's Day, an argument happens to come up so you can fade out. So I feel like there is some strategy there. Magda, Avery, y'all want to talk about some of the cuffing season strategies?
Well, because if you're...
Go ahead, Vonda.
Oh, well, if you're going into a relationship in cuffing season and like at least you are aware of that, then you've probably decided that this relationship has an expiration point anyway. So you need an out. You need an ending date. Like you can't just be like, oh, we're just gonna float around. Like you have a red line room, a red yarn room somewhere that you know what things are supposed to go. Now, whether or not the other person knows its expiration date is a personal problem. However, you know that on this day something gonna happen. Now, brother man might just sneeze a little bit too loud, and you're like, you know what? I can't live like this. This is not. I can't do this forever. I can't see a future where you have to sneeze that obnoxiously, and I have to live with this. And
Wow.
that's what you pick to go out on.
The smiles from the fellow panelists tells me there is some truth to this. Come on, Avery and Magda, don't be shy. Let me hear it. What are some cuffing season strategies?
I think some strategies it starts like at the end of the summer, in the beginning of that transition. You start to maybe like if you're talking to multiple, it depends on the life that you live, first of all. But if you're talking to multiple individuals, then maybe you start narrowing that down, and then focusing on a select few, and then whoever makes the cut and becomes that like your cuffing season person. Once again, like I said, this depends on the life that you live, because you might have several people that you can go into cuffing season with, but I don't know. But the strategies to end it, yeah. So there can be, having friends call you with a fake emergency, or like self sabotage, just coming up with different, different things that just puts you in a position where you can no longer be in this relationship.
Yo, Avery, I hope you
But yeah,
looking
it
at your
starts.
fellow panelists right now. Magda, I feel like you're calling out Magda's game right now. I feel like you're calling out that game. Go ahead, Magda. What you got to say?
Oh yeah. So that strategy, I'm real familiar with that. The whole call as somebody calling me for an emergency. But no, I actually agree. The strategy of going in, you kind of go through the whole spring and summer, and you're talking to multiple people, testing a whole bunch of multiple people out.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as that October hits and starts to rain, it gets a little windy and stuff, you kind of have to narrow it down. But what a lot of people make mistake at is you need to make sure you're going to cuffing season with the right person. You can't go into cuffing season with someone that's extremely needy, because yeah, you're gonna end up in a relationship that you didn't know you were in. Yeah.
Okay. Yo, hold up. I need to give me a moment. Let me take a breath. And Magda, I think you need to lead us into this next segment, right? So, what is the ideal cuffing season partner?
I think since cuffing season for some, well, not even some, for most, is just temporary,
Mm-hmm.
you definitely want to go into cuffing season with someone that isn't too needy,
Mm-hmm.
but also knows how to be in need just enough for you to feel like you're in a relationship.
Okay, not too needy, but have some need. Okay.
Yeah, just have some need. So that way, when it comes down to the February 14, and oh, you broke my glasses, let me go ahead and go off on you. You could dip out without a problem. So it won't be an issue for you to dip out on someone like that, because that person's not going to come and chase you. They're not going to come and hunt you down. They're not going to come and stalk you. There's no pop-ups at the job. There's no pop-ups at there's definitely no pop-ups at church. There's no pop-ups anywhere. So you got to pick the right person that if you cut it off and you start like a petty argument with, he will not or she will not be blowing you up. When it's done, and we move on to the next roster for the spring and summer session.
Y'all hear that? I heard Magda say date out of conference. That's what summarized that right there. She said date out of conference. Okay, at least 2 states away. Does Vondell and Avery, do you guys have anything you want to add to that? The ideal cuffing season partner?
Yes, but
Okay.
you can go, Vandell. You going? No? Okay. I would say the best partner is someone who also understands that it's cuffing season. Just meaning that like we go into it understanding that it's gonna come to an end, which I don't think you find these partners very often. It's very difficult, but that's the best person. I guess second best is like, somebody that has maybe very low expectations for whatever the relationship is. so that when you do come, maybe you don't have to come up with such of a fake emergency because this person understands, like, all right, well, this wasn't going to be much anyway, so it's okay. There's less of a fight when you have to leave.
Okay. Vonda, what you got for us?
I mean, that's pretty ideal, I would suppose. Ideally, yeah, you would want someone who also knows they own a calendar, they know what time it is, they know that there's a timeline going on. But
Right.
otherwise, like, the point of cuffing season is not like hurt anyone.
Right.
It's not supposed to be. I'm sure there are people out there that need a therapist, but the point isn't supposed to be going to hurt anyone. It's supposed to be like, we're gonna be together, good, everybody gonna have good times, and we just want, to look cute. And then when we part ways, it's when we see each other on the street, it's not like, wow, I'm gonna get my people on you. Like, it's supposed to be really chill. So yes, a not needy person and someone who know the vibe is ideal.
Okay, so you guys brought up some good points. Let me drop in some things that are happening right now in the YouTube chat. Someone said, if you're doing cuffing season right, you don't have to be around for the holidays and you still get the benefits of the relationship. That person seems shady, calling it out. Also, another YouTube comment. Oops, sorry, Avery, did you affirm? My bad. That wasn't a direct throw to you. I don't think you're shady. But if you agree with that comment, maybe it's implied. I don't know. Continue. Winners of cuffing season never put their information on social media. So I think Magda's got a big affirmation there. So let me ask you this question, right? What determines if a relationship makes it past Valentine's Day? It seemed pretty what's the word I'm looking for? Cohesive among you all that Valentine's Day is a strong cutoff. Like after Valentine's Day or even before Valentine's Day for some, it's a no-go. So what determines if a relationship makes it past Valentine's Day? Yeah, whoever. That's just, I'm rocking with you.
I don't know. I think because it's cuffing season and you go into it with the intention that this is not going to be much, it's not supposed to make it past Valentine's Day. If it does, then you did cuffing season wrong. Like that's not the way it was supposed to go. It's not supposed to. If it does, then that's it's a surprise. I don't know. Mm-hmm. For me, at least, it would be like, oh man, we're not supposed to be here.
Anyone else, or do we all agree?
I pretty much agree with that. If it goes past Valentine's Day, you definitely did cuffing season wrong. Like you entered the Hall of Fame. You done. You are in a relationship. Okay, there's no getting out of that.
Okay, I don't. How do you follow that up? I think that's pretty real. So, but let's ask real questions, right? Because it seems like cuffing season is a real thing and people get into it. But you all, let's pull back a little bit on a serious tip. Do you have a conversation about cuffing season before you get in? Because like we agree that there's time frames, right? There's preseason and there's full season. And we agree that there's a deadline, so the season is definitely up. So are there conversations about what's happening during cuffing season, or is it assumed on both ends that if the relationship falls in certain periods, like if it started in a certain time, then we should assume that it's going to end a certain time?
I don't think there's conversations.
I just want to let you know we got a homeboy at Dylan F.L.O.W team member joining us. So, but I'm sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Magda.
No. I definitely do not believe anyone have actual conversations about cuffing season. I think it's more so of an understanding. Mm-hmm. If you kind of go through the summer and the spring and you're talking to a whole bunch of people and, everyone know that, hey, you're not, you don't belong to them. You're not in a relationship. You kind of go into cuffing season on that note. So, but as far as having like an actual cuffing season, like, look, October 1st, we're official, but just know that by February 12th, we're done. February 13th is the day that you'll be sending me mad texts, I will ignore you. That's not the conversation you're going to have about cuffing season. Like, okay, you know, hey, you're buying me a gift on the 25th of December. And oh, by the way, I'm going to come in with a to-go plate to your family Thanksgiving, but I'm going to dip out. I don't feel like talking to your mother and your father. It's not one of those things you talk about. You just kind of have an understanding of it going in. And then boom, you create some sort of chaos to just end it.
So Magda just stepped into my past and hurt all of my feelings. Like I just time traveled in my hurt. I'm gonna be real honest, because now some things are making sense to me. Some things are really starting to make sense right now, Magda. Like I didn't know the game was so real. Who else got thoughts, man? Because Magda just dropped a lot of cuffing season gems, apparently. Anyone? Go ahead, Avery. It's open discussion. Go ahead, man.
So I agree, but I think that Vondell mentioned that we don't, like, the intention is not to hurt people during cuffing season. But I do think that people get hurt because they don't have those conversations. Like the fact that we cannot verbalize that, hey, we're gonna be official, you know, October 1st, but by whatever date in the spring or, you know, late winter, we're gonna be unofficial, we're gonna break up. That causes just pain. It just causes, like, I feel like as a guy, I can't approach a girl today and say, hey, you know, it's cuffing season. And you know, it's just a season. It's just a season, and like I want you to be my cuffing season partner. I want it to be me and you. That's not a conversation I can have. I feel like it's a conversation we should be able to have. So we should be able to have it, but I don't think that it's unrealistic.
So this is the space where, as young adults and as adults, period, we talk about the things that are real. So if you bring up a real point there, we know we should have that conversation and we don't, right? I guess we all get nod heads here. And we know by not having that conversation, somebody bound to get in their feelings. Mad text showing up at the work, trying to come follow me at church, etc. So now Dylan gave him, yeah. So now let's be honest about it. What really does prevent us from having that conversation? Now get this, knowing that so many of us play in cuffing season, like so many of us play the game, but why don't we have the conversation? Talk to me about
it. Emotions.
Tell me more.
That is like the number one reason why that conversation is avoided during that season. Emotions. It's one of the, you know, as you said before, you kind of go into cuffing season not really wanting to hurt someone, but you do get hurt, or that other person does get hurt. It's because we as human, we're so used to not wanting to hurt somebody's feelings. We don't want to be that person that breaks somebody down because we have no idea how far their breakdown will go. That's why those conversations are completely avoided. And as he said, those conversations should be had when you enter those type of seasons or enter like a temporary situation.
Who else got something for me? What prevents us from having those conversations? Magnus saying emotion. Go ahead, Vondell. Please, yeah, you don't have to raise your hand. Just talk about it.
I basically it's just awkward when I learned about season, it was mostly a joking kind of thing. But if you explain the premise to someone who is looking for a serious relationship or really does want to be with you, you just end up looking like a jerk. And I don't think there is a good way to explain it to someone that doesn't already know what's supposed to be happening. So I think it's mostly out of just not wanting to like either embarrass yourself or wanting to seem, I don't know, more callous than you really intend to be. Because like I said, most people aren't trying to hurt anyone. You just want a little bit of company, which is fine. But if you explain to someone that way, especially someone who is really feeling you or who, you know, apparently like now you're finding out, oh, they had whole plans. They was going to bring me to meet the parents. They had, whoa. So like, you just kind of like, you don't want to be the person that has to say that. And then now you look crazy. So like, you know what? It's just easier if I pick a fight on February 13th, block you on pick a fight on February 12th, block you on February 13th, and just it's the whole thing and start over next October. It's just easier.
Yeah, Avery.
Can, can I add to this? So I think that it's easier. She said it's easier to do that, but plainly, it's easier to lie. It's easier to go in there as a guy and say, "Hey, listen, I love you. I want to spend
Not to love
forever,
you. You
whatever."
dropping love yous during
Well, I
the
mean,
season?
do all the wooing and the wowing in the beginning, and then break the heart at the end of cuffing season. That's what's easier. It's easier to lie because, like I said, no, I think women more than guys wouldn't agree to that. A guy, if you say, "Hey, look, this is what it's gonna be," and I'm only gonna, cuffing season for us is it's gonna start here and end here. I feel like way more guys be like, "I'm down, I'm cool with that." But I just feel like women just would not be able to. I am generalizing, but I don't know. Me and my friends, I think, will be like, "Oh, sure, this is what it is. Like, that's fine."
Avery, I'm gonna be honest with you, dog. I am now officially retired, happily retired, but I'll tell you, I definitely got caught up twice with the whole temporary thing because there's something like somebody catches feelings. Like somebody always catches feelings in the temporary situation. Even when you're honest about it, somebody catches feelings. Because this is what I kind of want to talk. Go ahead, Avery. Go ahead. What you got?
That's fair. Somebody catches feelings, but I respect you more as a person because you told me not to catch feelings because this was coming to an end. So I think
good point.
With everyone who's trying to like preserve and not hurt people, we still end up hurting everybody because at the end of the day, you might tell a guy, "Hey, I don't want to date right now. I'm focusing on myself." But then we see you engaged like in a couple weeks or a couple weeks later, and it's just kind of like I thought she was focusing on herself. You might as well just tell me the truth. Hey, it's just not you. It's just not you.
There's a story there. There's a story there. Dylan, you got anything for us, man? What you got for this?
Man, temporary stuff don't work, bro. For real. It just doesn't work. Like, realistically, what happens is somebody's emotions end up getting involved and it always goes south, like, realistically. But, I mean, sometimes it's fun to try, but some people just get lonely and it is what it is. Like, and some people don't have the, I guess, the discipline is to be by yourself, especially in cuffing season. It's getting cold outside. You kind of realizing the sun setting later and later. I mean, earlier and earlier. So it's not that easy.
So Dylan, you bring up a real point. I got one question and we want to pivot a little bit because cuffing season looks one way for a single and looks another way for people in relationships, right? But I want to throw you out the curveball question and keep it a buck. Should a Christian be engaging in cuffing season? Yeah, I said it. I asked it. I did. Now, I said should. Now, I know what the reality is, but I asked the question carefully. Should a Christian be engaged in cuffing season? Go ahead. I mean, who got it?
Before we answer, can we just, what definition are we using for cuffing
For
season?
cuffing or Christian? Sure. What are you talking about? Which you want?
Cuffing for cuffing season. What does that mean exactly?
Let's say engaging in a relationship with someone with a pre-described expiration date, right? Engaging in as Dylan said, how about we keep it as broad as engaging in a temporary relationship? That's it.
Okay, so the thing that makes cuffing season bad is because it has an expiration date. Is that what it is? If that's what it is,
I threw out. I would love to see what you guys got. I'm saying that's what I threw out. Yo, he muted himself. Vonda, go ahead. What you got? Oh, did we lose you? Did we freeze?
That one's hard.
Go ahead, Magda, until we get Vondell back.
That one is very, very hard because it's to not engage in cuffing season. To me personally, you're just saying like, oh, well, you can't really date either. Like you can't really explore your options either as a Christian. It's like, boom, you find the first one you see and the first one that you into, that's it. That's going to be your husband. There's no breaking up with that one and exploring other options and catching another interest. I don't know. To me, that's not realistic. Christian or not Christian, it's just, I mean, if that's part of life. Like you got to explore. You have to branch out and do things differently. again, it's temporary, but some relationships have been established during cuffing season, unfortunately. But I mean, that's not for me.
Okay. So, I mean, you were real political with your answer. It sounds as though you're saying that you don't think it's an issue if a Christian gets involved in a relation, like engaged in cuffing season. I'm gonna be that moderator. Like I think you try to duck the answer. Like, what is it, Magda?
Me personally, no. I think it's perfectly okay for a Christian to get involved in the whole cuffing season thing, or whatever your thing is. Cuffing season temporarily, or cuffing season going into the Hall of Fame. It's up to you.
Okay, Dylan and Avery. And Avery, you really want to answer on this or not? What's up? And we got Vondell back, so whoever feels like going.
I mean, realistically, if it's your season, right, and you're a Christian, it's your season, right? Doesn't matter if it ends up being cuffing season or not. But does it mean every year you do the same exact thing? Does that mean like, you're going through the seasons where it's like cuffing season and then for some reason it's hot girl summer, so now it's different, you know what I mean? Like, we ain't even get into that, but you might want to see how you can, if you're going into it as a Christian, you might want to find out how you can have some sort of tether to what you actually believe in.
Okay, and I want to add, somebody from YouTube shared this comment. There is a Christian, let me make sure to read it correctly. Cuffing season can have a Christian mode. However, it's hard and unlikely. Someone else responded to Dylan and said, I love you, question mark. You doing it all wrong. That's what was a comment, I think, in response to Avery. So Vondell and Avery, we're sitting here from you. Should a Christian be involved in cuffing season?
I don't I don't think there's any reason why not. However, that comes down to how you're doing cuffing season. Now, I'm sure the person said there's a Christian mode, but it's hard and unlikely. I don't think it's all that hard or unlikely. You just have to decide within yourself what steps, like what tier you're willing to go to within this cuffing season relationship. I don't think it's all that unlikely or hard. I just think that you have to make that decision. Now, I do think that if you do the Christian mode, it's a little bit easier at the end of the season for you to be like, hey, it's been a ride. Good times were had by all. I hope you really like that teddy bear, and just slide out of frame. Because I don't know, it's a little bit less it's a little bit less entangled. But I don't think it's impossible, and I don't think there's any reason why Christians shouldn't participate in it. Cuffing season would only, this question only shows up for cuffing season because you go into it with an end date in mind. But if I got into a relationship in February instead, or in March, and I was like, 2 months in, I was like, yeah, I don't see this going nowhere. So I'm like, all right, you got another month, and then I'm out. Nobody would ask me anything. So I don't see any reason why not.
Avery, I'm holding your feet to the fire. What's up?
I agree. I think yes, it's okay. Because I'm not even sure what Christian cuffing season looks like. People said there's it exists, but I'm not sure what that even means or looks like. But one thing that we established is that cuffing season, because it's a season, everyone gets hurt, or like somebody gets hurt, and that's inevitable. So if we are under the impression that because we throw Christian on it, that people's feelings are going to be spared, that's a lie, because it's still somebody's going to be sad at the end of the day. So I don't know what cuffing season, what Christian cuffing season looks like, but my answer is yes. I do think that it's okay for Christians to cuff if they want to during the season.
I'm glad I caught you all in a trap, except for Vondell. So somebody actually hit me up with a private question and says, I thought cuffing season, they used a more colorful language, but I thought cuffing season had a strong element of physicality in it. So when most, I know I didn't catch you, Vaughn, I caught everybody else, but cuffing season has a strong element of physicality inside of it. And when you look at many of the definitions, you read about it. I read an article on Psychology Today, by the fact, an article on Psychology Today about cuffing season said that there's a real science behind wanting body warmth, right? We know that. Well, if you don't know that, let me say that. There's a real science behind body warmth and behind cuddling. It helps boost natural body chemicals. So there is an element of physicality related to cuffing season. So if we know that that's more often than not presumed, again, I ask you, then should the Christian be involved in cuffing season if one, there's the predetermined end date and physicality is involved? I got strong head nods. I don't know if he's bumping to the beat or if he's saying yes. Well, make sure. I don't want to get caught up. What you guys think now?
I can't
I
cuddle
still
because I'm
stand by my
Christian.
answer.
Ooh.
Right, exactly. I'm with her. I still stand by my answer.
I need warmth too.
Come on, Christians need hugs as well. Christians need hugs. We need hugs. We need cuddles. We need it all. And it's not fair that we're being ostracized.
I'm gonna say this very, very clearly. I want to make this very clear. My mother used to say she was not born at the height nor age that she was at any time the statement was made. So let me say this to you. I was not born this big. So when y'all tell me, that it's okay to have a hug and a cuddle, you're telling me you're going to engage. And I'm gonna be real with y'all. Like, this is a young adult conversation, right? We try to keep it a buck for a reason. We want everybody to understand the choices that we make and the implications and everything, right? You tell me you engage in a whole season intentionally with the expiration date just so you can cuddle. Someone help define for me what cuddle is then. What it look like for you? So can your mama be in the room when y'all cuddling?
My parents are Caribbean. They can't be in the room when I hug anybody because that's gunshots. So
no, I think yes, I'm still standing by it. I think companionship. You know, cuffing season, because it doesn't have to be super physical. It could just be this person that you decided to do all the fall season activities with. If this is a person that you like a whole lot, then you know you'll spend the holidays. You'll you know all that extra stuff. We're gonna go on movies, but it's like exclusive. It's just me and this young woman, and
is there hand holding?
Cuddles.
Is there head
there's
bleeding?
definitely, I'm a big hand holder. There's hand holding. There's like, you know, the hugs, there's all of it. But yes, like there is a lot of other things implied, I think, in cuffing season, but it doesn't have to be. I think you can survive cuffing season without it. You can come pretty close, but you can.
What you got?
I agree. Like, there's reasons for cuffing season. Yeah, it's temporary, but for many, it's I kind of want to go into this season just for companionship. Need somebody to talk to, somebody to do a quick little travel with, somebody to hit a movie with, jet ski, do whatever it is you want to do.
Come on.
Once in a while, hold some hands, go ahead, give the little head and the arm behind the, do all that.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yard, go ahead. And then for some, there's some extraness to it. And then for some, it's more so like, okay, we got Thanksgiving, I ain't got to cook. We got Christmas, I got a gift there. We got New Year's, might have a gift there, but I definitely get a kiss. Okay, I'm going in for that stuff. There's certain
look, you added kissing. Look how it elevated. Look, you just, Avery got messed up too. Look how it elevated. Now we kissing.
Wait, no, I'm still standing by kissing though. You can kiss during cuffing season. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, all right. So let me then pivot a little bit, right? Because you guys say Christians can engage in cuffing season. I just want to throw that out there because somebody in the audience asked. But I also want to talk about cuffing season. Is the period of winter, essentially fall, winter, and it's a tough time on relationships. So I don't want to isolate our coupled folk. A big thing is, particularly during COVID and quarantine, is how do you handle now the disagreements that arise during cuffing season? If you're single, I believe that's a little bit nuanced. And I'm not talking about during the February disagreement, all right? Because we understand that has a purpose for the single cuffing season participant. But I'm talking about how do you handle the disagreements during those months where you're more closed in together, when when you don't have an opportunity to break out? Like, how do you handle disagreements during cuffing season? Y'all help me out.
The same way you should handle them, the same way that you would in a long term, we gonna get married eventually relationship. I feel. Now, I feel this way because even though it's supposed to be a relationship with an end date, it's still a relationship. And if this disagreement happens in November, December, January, I'm still stuck with you for 2 or 3 more months. And I would like this to, move along. I want this to be smoothly as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I also, to an extent, view cuffing season relationships as practice relationships. So
Okay. Okay.
I should be figuring out how best I communicate, how best I, do deal with arguments, that kind of stuff. So that in the future, when I do have an argument with, my wife, husband, spouse, whatever it is, it's not, I can't deal with this and just leave. Like there has to be, you have to learn how to deal with arguments eventually. I think with COVID, it has forced a lot of people to do it in rapid time
Mm-hmm.
because you can't just be like, I'm gonna go down to the bar. I don't deal with this because the bar is closed. We stuck together. You, what you gonna do? Go to the kitchen? I'm here too. We gonna talk about this. So you do have to figure out how to deal with things. You have to know when to give space, when not to be up in people grill, when just to like know when to back off or when to push things. So I do think of it as like a learning curve thing. I don't think there should be any significant difference between how I deal with arguments in a cuffing relationship versus one in a long distance relationship because we gonna have to be together for another 2 3 months and I want to come out of this alive. So yeah.
You got a lot of nodding heads over here. Come on, y'all. What y'all got to add to that?
I completely agree. Whether it's long term or if it's just for temporary, you're going to deal with the arguments just the same way. Whether
Mm-hmm.
it's, start giving each other space, be direct. When you're talking to each other, don't blame the partner, but express how you felt at that moment when that person
Okay.
hurt you, type of
Okay.
thing. Or and make sure that, when your partner is speaking, make sure you're not just, hearing. You got to listen to what they're saying and understand what they're saying. It's going to be the same thing, whether it's, boom, I'm going to break up with you February 11th, know that, but I'm stuck with you for another month. And we still got to deal with January. So come on, get it out the way. Or whether it's, hey, we in this 2 3 years and we got a lifetime to go. It's going to be the same thing.
What you got, Avery?
I think that communication is important during cuffing season. You should you really shouldn't have much to disagree about, and if you do, you just kind of ignore it and just you save it. You save it for the expiration. You save it so that you can kind of just have one big blow up and say back in October when you said this and back in December when you did that, it helps with your exit. But with the pandemic and the fact that we're spending more time, I think, with each other, what makes it difficult. You just gotta like be intentional about like finding some space away from each other. Like even if it's just going outside, but like you need to your me time is even more important now than it was before with the whole pandemic. But yeah, just communication. But in cuffing season, you shouldn't be. Yeah, you just gotta suffer through it because you want to be in cuffing season with your partner. So you just hold on until it's time to leave.
So let's talk about it, right? Because Avery dropped, I think, a real approach for some people, when it comes to disagreements, and that is not addressing the disagreement until it comes up later. And I think that's a real practice. While Magda, I think you dropped some real gems as well with handling disagreements. So, I mean, I'm wondering if each of y'all, Magda, maybe highlight one. What do you think is like a crucial strategy for handling disagreements, particularly when you're more confined close together, whether it's a cuffing season relationship, so you're more indoors together, or whether it's a long-term relationship and you're just with each other? Like what's like one thing that you each believe is a good thing to engage in?
For me personally, the first things first is always getting some space.
Okay.
You always need that time to just kind of breathe, think about what you said, what you did, and before you start coming back to the whole communicating again. Because if you don't cool down and you come back with the same heat that you came in the first round, it's only going to get worse from there. So my thing is, especially if you're confined in like a little space or whatever, as Avery said before, go ahead, go for a walk, or yeah, you got a gym in the garage, go ahead, hit the gym in the garage, or grab a book, go relax on the patio, the balcony, or whatever the case may be, and then come back and go ahead and do the go ahead, explain your piece. Let me hear your piece. Let me not try to reject what you're saying, or let me understand clearly what you're saying, and I want to really listen to how you felt, and then you're going to go ahead and provide me the same courtesy.
Appreciate that. Magda's saying, take a break first, right? Make sure that you have a cool head to approach it. What do you guys got? Avery, Vondell, Dylan, what y'all got for me?
I will say that Avery's approach of just hold on to it until we have to pick a fight is how people show up dead. You're not gonna make it out of cuffing season with that, because you're not gonna be alive. I don't even if it's a short-term relationship, I don't think you should just be holding on to it in a book somewhere, so that on February 12th I could be like, guess what? I am a big believer in giving people space, like Magda said, mostly because I myself require space. If you come at me and I tell you leave me alone and you keep coming, you're gonna get your feelings hurt. I might say something that I very much mean but didn't mean to say, and not everybody upset. So I'm a big believer in space, because I feel like if, like you said, if you go and come back with that same fire, that same, you gonna hear what I got to say, everybody gonna be upset. There's no way that it's ending well. The cuffing season has ended early, because after this, we not recovering from this. This is it. Get your teddy bear and get out. It's over.
Okay, can I add? I think yeah, space is big, like I mentioned before. I think what's also very important that we all do, some more than others, is we we don't communicate. Like what bothers us, we expect our person, our partner, to know why we're upset. And I think it's important to communicate in real time what's happening, and also communicate just like why this made you mad or what the actual problem is, because sometimes we just like to believe that we should just know that that was dumb, or we should just know that that was going to bother you. So I think communicating in real time and just kind of sharing what the actual problem is that you have goes a long way, because then it kind of helps with future situations when it's like, you know because we communicated this, I already know that this is what irritates you, or this may be a problem. So I probably would stay away from doing things like that. So communicating in real time too, and not leaving it up to like telepathy and whatnot.
Communicate real time. I like that. Giving space, taking space. Dylan, what you got for us?
First of all, Rondell talking about take your teddy bear and leave. So is he getting his hoodie back too, or is that?
Ooh, ooh.
I was curious.
I mean, neutral as a moderator, but
I done lost a lot of good hoodies. I'm just saying, and I ain't never get that back. A man will probably get his ring back before he gets his hoodies and old T-shirts and stuff back. But besides the point, I definitely think two big pieces are your own mental health, and then also being completely honest with yourself. Your own mental health. You can come into a relationship, and I saw this meme this morning about when you both know you're both toxic for each other. Avery probably seen it. But when you both know you're toxic, when you both know you're toxic for each other, but y'all staying it anyway because y'all lonely. If you know you got something going on for real, and you're not serious about it, or just take a step back and look at yourself for real. Be honest with yourself, because you really know that you're toxic. You know this deep down, man or woman. something's wrong. All right, well, go ahead and fix that, before you bring your baggage into somebody else's life. And now you calling him all these different types of names, but it's actually Gary's fault and not Brandon's. But that's besides.
Yo, everybody, I also want to pause a moment to highlight, a function of our show is the overflow, where we encourage you, if you are a part of the YouTube community, you can join us on Zoom to ask the panelists questions or to share your thought or buzzing. So please look out for that. We'll actually drop it in the chat. The overflow starts roughly around 5:30. So we got about 10 minutes left before we get into that. We'd love to hear from you all. We believe in giving everybody voice, everybody opportunity. Well, actually, you see on there, if you want to join the overflow, email us. We'll also drop the link real quick in the chat for you to get in. Please have your name correctly so that we can invite you in. So everybody, we're talking about cuffing season, man. And I think Dylan also talked about something that's real based on what you guys have said. And that's that mental health thing, right? And Avery highlighted it even more with the idea of talking about real time. And I want to circle back to this idea of that cuffing season is typically difficult for a lot of us for a number of environmental factors. Let's talk about that first. You got holidays. Holidays are stressful. Holidays are real stressful. One of the things that I think influence cuffing season, or I want to hear what y'all think, is that the pressure to bring somebody home. You reach a certain age and now you're expected to date, right? They spend all this time telling you shouldn't date, that dating is wrong, yada, yada, yada. And all of a sudden, just like this age switches and now you should be dating and why you don't have somebody who you dating. And so talk to me about the pressures that we face in cuffing season, both in relationship and out of relationship, around needing to be in a relationship. What are y'all thoughts about that?
I gotta take this one first, man. So first thing, I mean, I'm not a woman, but I know that they go through this a lot, especially in the Caribbean household. If you're told not to date, they see you with a man before the age of married, and it's like, what? Like, it's like, oh my gosh, my little girl, what is going on? Like, no way. Like,
question: how did you get from wherever age to married? There has to be something in between. But go ahead. I'm just saying.
The age of married. That's I don't know. It's a thing. Trust me. But yeah, it just seems like they go from I don't want you talking to any guys to why don't you have a child already? Why don't you have a man? What's going on? You need to like go exercise some more or something. And it gets to a point where it gets kind of hurtful, but they're not in their head. It's not really hurtful to them, whatever. But for real, that it's like that's just one of the biases for real that goes along with even in the Caribbean household and stuff like that when it comes to stuff like that. For guys, I think realistically, the pressure is to bring somebody home. I think you want to make your mom happy, you want to make your dad happy, and all of that. We know there's no pleasing everybody, but at the same time, it plays a really big factor in when you're choosing somebody that you're trying to really settle down with, especially in cuffing season, whatever. If realistically, I know I'm not staying with this person forever. I'm just trying to make sure on the surface she checks off all the boxes so my aunties and them don't destroy her too quickly. Because if you've ever been in a Trini household and you bring a woman home,
it's the same in the other Caribbean households too, man. Aunts, they carry big guns. They carry big guns.
It's open season. But yeah, so I realistically, if I know I'm in cuffing season and I'm not too serious about the person, I just kind of try to figure out how to get the big checks marked off.
What the rest of y'all got? What is the pressures like, particularly during cuffing season and the holidays?
I will say that I think, because he said it before, there's a joke in Proud Family, and it was like, the Oscar is telling Penny, you're not allowed to date until you're married. And that's basically what it is. One day you're like, you can't date, like you're in church and you're sitting next to someone and someone comes next to you and you get a text from across the church, move. Huh? You look over and happens to be someone of your age that's the opposite gender. You're like, I was sitting here paying attention. Move. Okay. And then it seemed like in 2 weeks, they're like, so why ain't got no grandbabies? And you're like, okay, but what do you want me to do? I also, do you want them through osmosis? What is happening? I also think there's I think men get off like bandits during cuffing season, because I do feel like it's more pressure
Ooh.
to women to go and find somebody and bring somebody home. And unfortunately, I've noticed that it almost don't matter who you bring home, as long as it's like a person that at least looks half decent. Like, he not beating you up in front of the family. They're like, oh, you finally find somebody, and like
I need
that's
a
the whole
moment. I
checklist.
need a moment because I want to make sure that everyone knows that my cousin is not promoting domestic violence, does not believe
I'm
domestic
not.
violence is a thing. It is a real thing. I think she was just using it because that's sad though. But like that's
Yeah,
sometimes the
because
criteria. The criteria be he's standing up and he can speak.
that's it. That's the whole criteria. Versus when a guy brings a woman home and they're like, can she cook? Can she clean? How's she treating you? And it's a whole long thing. And it's like, there's definitely a disparity, especially. So I have a boyfriend, and when I showed up with a boyfriend, my family was like, oh, okay, cool. Versus his family was like, why are you dating somebody? You still have time. You need to go out and date other people, go try things out. And I was like, there's a very big difference between how our families are like talking to each other. But my family's like, this is great, you got somebody, this is wonderful. And his family is like, you're too young for this. You need to go out and sow some wild oats. And I'm like, okay. I do think that there's a very big disparity. There's also a cultural thing as well. There's definitely a lot of pressure to find someone and bring someone home, and that varies versus who your family is and who you are. And it's almost at a certain point, and if you get to a certain age, God forbid you get past 30, and you're a woman, they're looking at you like, oh, so nobody wants you, and you're like, okay, so I have to find somebody. It doesn't even matter who it is. I need to look, you like, you're walking, you're talking, come with me, I'll fix you up on the way, it's fine. Which I think is terrible, and very different from how men. This is how I think men get off like a band, is because they can just find somebody. They know this is the season. Women are looking for anybody to bring home, and they're like, "This is my time. Free food. All I have to do is get her a Pandora bracelet. This is wonderful. This is a good trade off. Good times had all around." So
You got a lot of
yeah.
head nods from both Magda and Avery, so I'm wondering what they got to say. I feel like it's ripe. What you got, Magna or Avery? Come on, I know you got feelings.
Yeah, I agree. That pressure during cuffing season is real heavy,
Mm-hmm.
especially in an island household. Listen, when it comes to Haitians don't play with women. As soon as you hit the age 23,
Wow.
that's your marriage. That is your marriage age. Every Thanksgiving, every Christmas dinner is, oh, you not married yet? Where's your, you don't have a boyfriend yet?
The accent come out though. Oh my, I wasn't ready.
It's constant. Like that. I don't know what it is, but funny thing is, they'll do the same thing to the sons. It's like once you get to that age, it's gonna be, oh, you're not married yet. You don't have a girlfriend. Where's your girlfriend? You 31 years old. You don't have a girlfriend. You can't go to the club and go date women to women. Listen, that pressure is very heavy in a Haitian household. Like it's one of those things where you kind of, that's why many just kind of go in, and dip out before you can even say hello to the other 7 aunties. As soon as you've seen the first 2 aunties, it's like, okay, there go the third one. Let me head out. I'm done. Dinner over.
This is I'm liking this, man. I'm liking this. Avery, you got anything you want to add to it before we break into the overflow?
Oh yeah, I would just say I Vondell, she hit it right there on the nail. I agree with a lot of what she said. I do think that it is difficult for men as well, especially as you get older. And I just think it's different because we do, have it a little different than women in the sense that maybe, our ratios are a little bit better and we can probably make a decision easier than a woman can. Like there's probably many men that could, like, if they wanted to settle down with a woman tomorrow or within the next couple of weeks, that can be easier than a woman can. So I agree with that. However, I do think it is still tough. You know, holiday season comes around, and you know, just because of the nature of cuffing season and that winter time, you know, you want to be with somebody. So going home and yet again for another holiday, by yourself for another holiday, it can begin to, you know, make you think, put you in some difficult places mentally. You might start thinking back on previous relationships and saying, you know, maybe I should have made that work, or you know, especially now with the pandemic, I think a lot of us, I don't know about your timelines, but I've been seeing so many like COVID engagements or pandemic marriages, and like, you know, even stuff like this where, you know, you're not able to go outside as much and interact with people, but then seeing people post on social media new relationships, new proposals, engagements, marriages, babies, and all that, you know, kind of puts you in a space. So yeah, I think it's tough during the holiday season. One thing that Vondo did mention though, it kind of puts you in a very almost like desperate position, because you get to a point where you're like, man, I by any means necessary, and that's for men and women. So you know, she mentioned that you just have to be able to speak as long as your heart is beating and you can just formulate a sentence. And I know, you know, we're not promoting domestic violence, but you know, if he's not beating you in public, maybe in front of your family, but some people would tolerate some other things. As long as like I can bring you home, I'll like suffer through the things that are like crazy and like, you know, unhealthy. But yeah.
I appreciate you. I want everyone to hold up real quick. I do have some follow-up questions. I want to give people a chance to join us in the overflow. We want to make sure that, you know, as a ministry, as a Flow Present show, we care about your voice and hearing it. So we're about to roll the overflow bumper. The link will be in the chat. Let's get it going. All right, the link was in the chat. We're just shifting to the final quarter of our show. Want to let you guys know, if you want to join us, please join. Click the link in the chat. Make sure that you have written your name fully so we can accept you in there. Avery and everyone, we're just talking about this pressure to pair during cuffing season. And we talked about how that can really do some things on you mentally. And I want to talk about the real aspect of this, right? The real aspects of the Black community. Someone in the YouTube actually talked about the pressure in the Black household to go into relationships that does end up resulting in real things like unaddressed trauma, unaddressed mental concerns, and sometimes unhealthy relationships, emotionally, verbally, or physically. Talk to me honestly, y'all, as young adults. Have you experienced, if you're willing to share, any measure of adverse mental or emotional state because of that pressure to pair, right? And it don't have to be as drastic as domestic violence, but even just the anxiety of like, yo, do I even want to go home this holiday, or you know, do I want to skip Christmas or Thanksgiving? Has anyone experienced that? So I'm acting like that I'm the only one.
I would say I haven't like it hasn't been to that extent where it's like I don't want to go home, but I know someone talking about like Black households and just like, you know, everybody's kind of family dynamic. I would say that, you know, you guys mentioned aunties. There might be like some of the people that you're going home to who have never been married, or who have been in multiple like different, you know, relationships or whatever. And I do think sometimes like there's been memes during the holiday season of like all these parents and family members getting on the young adults for coming home without people, but then like the memes are the young adults firing back saying, you know, you and you know, looking at the family member. I'm not gonna get into what they say, but it's funny stuff. It's funny stuff. But I would agree with that. Like I do think that you know, coming from like single parent homes and you know, families like that, you know, it is tough sometimes, because I think as a young adult, you probably want more of like a conversation. We talk about like just dealing with like unsolved or just unaddressed trauma. You know, you probably do what you would benefit from some more conversation as a young person from like a family member saying like, even just talking about dating, you know, because for like a lot of us it's, you know, don't date, but then the expectation is to be married later on in life. So we are not having enough conversations, I think. And even in, you know, when you make it to young adulthood, the conversations are still not happening, but then the expectation is still bring somebody respectable home. So yeah, I agree. I think there's a lot going on there.
Well, I'm gonna jump in and say I think one of the things that I end up realizing it was a big growth point to be transparent about cuffing season is when you look around, you see other people, whether they've entered cuffing season consciously with an expiration date or they're just dating during the holiday seasons. Everybody's hanging out at somebody's house, a game night, and it's like, oh, come to our game night. You look at that couple, you look at that couple, you look at that couple, and let's keep it a buck. As a millennial, you know, our generations before us told us you got to be established, right? You got to, you know what established looks like for a millennial? 35, 40. So now you 35, 40, trying to get yourself established, going to a game night, and you looking around everybody coupled up, and you kind of thinking to yourself, yo, am I established yet? Like, is it how does so I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. There was a point when even me and a friend like had a real conversation, like, yo, are we missing something? Like, it was good because everybody else is booed up. Everybody else is connected. And I think that's a real pressure sometimes to at least engage in holiday focused or holiday specific relationships, because at the very least, you got somebody to go to a game night with. You got somebody to go to a movies with. You know, you can at least pretend to do the invite during Thanksgiving. Like, yo, if you want to come through, you can. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really encouraging you to too much, but if you want to, you can, because then the family, I can always say, yeah, no, they said they might come through. Yeah, but you know, they may not. So I don't know about y'all. I think it's real, the pressures that young people feel and the mental strain that it puts on them. You know what I mean? Like, is there anything else you could think about around the dangers of cuffing season? Like, we talked about it, but like, what are some of the real dangers of cuffing season and the pressure to pair?
Can I just add real quick? Settling comes out of this as well. I
Woo!
think settling big time, big time. So like a lot of us, because cuffing season comes around and all those pressures from family, social media, friends, whatever it might be. That's when we start to just say, okay, if I had a list, let me throw it away, or let me take off the first 10 things, and then you start, then I feel like your standards just
10, yeah.
completely drop. Yeah. Then I think
A
your
list of
standards just
12,
drop. So
by
I
the
don't
way,
know.
too.
So I don't know. I think that's what happens. I think it does get tough, and you begin to like say, okay, maybe I wanted too much. Maybe having somebody who treats me right and respects me and likes to laugh and go out to eat and stuff. Maybe that's too much to look for, and then you start settling for somebody who is unhealthy and does bad things to you and stuff like that.
Man, so
Just to have a boyfriend and take pictures on social media.
I heard the first warning, the first danger of cuffing season is the fear of settling. The fear of settling. I want to invite Aim. Oh, I'm gonna need help, Miss Norris. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm gonna need help. Aimliv? Amliv?
Yes, correct. Amliv.
Amliv. Welcome to the Overflow. Do you have a thought, a question, something you want to share with us?
I'm still, thinking about some things that were discussed in the on YouTube that, yeah, I guess my main question is that I don't know if you kind of answered it, but why are Christians thinking about cuffing season or thinking about a secular concept of cuffing season? Because isn't it just friends with benefits?
You asked a real question. I'm gonna throw that to my panelist. Amliv, right? I want to make sure I'm getting that practice. Amliv throws it back out there. Is cuffing season masking friends with benefits? And if that's the case, why is it even a Christian conversation?
The benefits vary. You decide what the benefits are going to be. It can be a friends with benefits thing. Now, if the benefits are a plate at Thanksgiving, a gift, someone to go to game night with, and we can watch the ball drop together and get the New Year's kiss, that's fine. Now, there definitely can be other more extensive benefits, but that varies person to person. I think Christians draw their lines in different places. And I mean, because we're varied people, Christians vary. We're not a monolith. Even though we largely do believe in a lot of the same things, we might draw our lines in different places. And where my line might be, I just want a nice gift and someone to go watch the ball with. My friend's line might be, I want to practice for marriage type of thing. Like I want the whole 9 yards, the cow, the milk, everything. And that's her prerogative. Now, I say that to say that just because it's a cuffing seasoned relationship doesn't necessarily make it unchristian, or it does not specifically mean that you're crossing a line. Everyone's lines are different. Everyone's relationships looks a bit different. And just because they're in a relationship of some sort doesn't mean that they are getting out of it what you might think they're getting out of it. Unless you in their business like that and they tell you all the details. But otherwise, I tend to just give people the benefit of the doubt.
First of all, my cousin definitely said check your insurance package. It varies based on enrollment. And Amlev, do you have a thought based on what was shared just now? I'd love to hear your thought on that.
It's still kind of broad to me because, as I said, coming into the church 13 years ago, in the beginning, it just seems like it was when it came to, I guess, certain standards or a way of being. I didn't want to fall back into secular behaviors or bring certain behaviors that I had before. Why I'm asking this question, because it's like, is there a standard? Is there like a, what really are the rules of the game? And if it's similar to where I used to be, I don't know if I want to tread on that, because there's a thin line. There's a very thin line in this conversation where I agree with your cousin that you set the parameters of the relationship, but for some people it's like it's too blurry of a line to even go there.
I think we need to get you eventually as a panelist and off camera, because you're talking about some real things, right? You're bringing in the reality of why we're having this conversation, because as much as my cousin talks about the enrollment period, you're also talking about how easy it can be at times that, oh, my bad, oh, shoot, how we get here 4 times? Like, this wasn't supposed to happen. That's what I'm hearing from you. Do you have any thoughts about how do you prevent that?
Well, I'm still figuring it out, because I am I've only been a divorcee for 3 years now. And as I said, when this conversation was going, I realized in this conversation that maybe the person I married was a temporary, and I didn't see it as that. Where a lot of feelings and still getting over doing counseling to unlearn some of the things that I learned, which I guess now I know it was a cuffing season that overstayed its welcome. That if I had known the rules of the game, I would have been able to spot that this is not a long-term situation or relationship for marriage, versus playing those games of, dating someone, as you said, like doing an enrollment period with someone before you decide, I don't want this membership anymore.
So Amler's 2 things. One, I think I need you to hang around because we want to get you as a panelist, because cuffing season, we're talking about all the different things. And then Magna had a thought. So go ahead. We got 2 minutes and we got a new segment that we want to drop for y'all.
Okay, so
we got a little time.
As a Christian, I do strongly believe that, that the first person you see or meet is not that relationship. There are going to be breakups. There are going to be other people. There are going to be other interests out there. Compared to that first person that you meet that, you thought, okay, this is going to be my husband. When going into cuffing season, you have to know yourself. It is very important to know yourself and know what you would like out of that cuffing season. As she said before, benefits, you have to lay down what those benefits are. Whether it's, I just want to go to a game night, I want to hit the movies, and I want to cuddle. Now, if you are that type of person where in your past those things would lead to other things, then that's not for you. You're good on cuffing season. Go ahead and just hand in your cards. You're done. You're over. Don't even join the party. Okay, we're not doing that. Nope. If you really trying to be the whole Christian thing, and I'm gonna fall back into that if I get that kiss on New Year's Day. okay, game over. Your time is up.
Notice it was New Year's night before, now it's New Year's Day. So that probably wasn't a kiss you should have had.
Exactly. So
Hey, can I?
It
just
was
ask this
it was a
quickly, though?
very long kiss.
Bye, man.
Mm.
You ain't kissed nobody. You still ain't grown enough in my eye. Go ahead, Avery.
Can I just? I think she did mention a lot of great things. I think
She being Amliv.
the whole Amliv, yeah, sorry. The whole Christian dating thing is, it's always gonna be controversial because it's just like what's allowed and what's not. Because some may say that kissing is okay, but there might be people on this call that say kissing that's too much and you should only kiss your wife. So and then, like, a lot of us have mentioned before, like Dylan mentioned it, the expectation for parents is, you're not dating until you're married. So there's not a whole lot of trial and error, I think, allowed for Christians in dating. And I think that's the problem there, because there's just so many, the expectations are too strong. We shouldn't engage in cuffing season because we're supposed to be dating for marriage, because that's what Christians do. And if you are engaging in cuffing season and it doesn't work out, then you're joking around or you're playing around, or and I think that's the part where I think we need to kind of be better at, where it's like, you're like, Magda, she mentioned it before, you're gonna like get hurt and there's things are not gonna work out, and it's okay to kiss somebody and still be a Christian. That's just my perspective, at least. That's what I think. But yeah, that's all.
Vonda, you had your hand up.
I did, and I think the thought ran away. Oh, okay. So the thing with dating as a Christian, dating to get married, that kind of stuff. Someone mentioned it earlier, of just having, if you come from a family of mostly singles or whatever it is, then no one says anything to you about how to date. And I think that's the same problem that we have in the Christian church, specifically, I'm going to say the SDA church, because that's what I'm a part of. And that even varies from church to church, because like Avery just said, if you go to one church and if you once in a blue moon, you might happen to drop by on that Sabbath, they decide to talk about relationships, and they're like, you're not even allowed to be anywhere with another person of the opposite gender unchaperoned. Versus you go to a different church and they're like, it's good to date around, get to know each other, that kind of thing. So it's not even that there's a chance that you won't get any message at all, that you'll get a lot of conflicting messages, or it's just radio silence. So I think a lot of it comes down to people not knowing what they're supposed to be doing in a Christian relationship, or in just a regular, if the lines of demarcation are different, there's just no one ever says anything about how you should be going into a relationship, how you should be dating, what your lines should or should not be. And I also think that we're not given the freedom to draw our lines ourselves. Everybody is different, and depending on the Christian church you went to, you might be taught that your line is a bit different, versus your friend who went to a different church that have stricter lines. I think the problem definitely starts with the fact that there's just no talk about anything. It literally goes from you're not allowed to even look at someone that's within your age range that's of the opposite gender, to why aren't you married with 3 kids already? And you're like, well, I don't even know how to find somebody. So what ends up happening is someone drops out of the sky and you're like, okay, you don't know how to look for red flags, you don't know to look for what you can or can't deal with, you don't even know what to look for within yourself. Maybe I should fix this, maybe I should go talk about this, maybe you don't know yourself, much less to be like, okay, I'm gonna get with this person and keep them for the rest of our lives, as it were, and maybe procreate with this person. I just think that there definitely needs to be a solid conversation at some point. It doesn't have to be facilitated by the church, but I think it would help if it was if it was given in a church kind of setting, because you might get more people that way. But I definitely think that's one of the many roots of the issue of cuffing season expectations. Just finding any random person that might cause someone to settle, that kind of stuff.
We have about 6 minutes left, and we got a new person on here, homeboy Barry. Do you have any questions, Barry, or thoughts you want to share with the panelists?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hey, Rob.
yeah, what's up, Barry? Go ahead. What you got for us?
Well, this is kind of new to me, because when I saw you posted this topic on Facebook, I started doing my research because I've never known like something called coffee season actually exists.
We just gave you a name for it. Don't tell the truth, Barry. We just gave you a name for it. Go ahead.
Well, I did not know. I just thought people get into a relationship and get out of a relationship at some point, but that's not the point. But I'm kind of taking back. I think somebody did mention the whole issue about culture and family pressure and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Being a Nigerian American, that's something that exists within my household. Parents expect you at a certain age to start settling down and start looking for that partner for you and actually be in a relationship. But differently, since I moved to the States, they kind of backed off from that. Like they kind of like expect me to make my decision when I want to make it, how I want to make it, with the hope that I will make the right decision when it best suits me. So just to get a take on how those people that are from a different culture that now lives in the state view like this whole getting into a relationship and people that are still back home. I know somebody from the Haitian household actually mentioned that. But just to get it, is there a difference between people that are here in the state and people that are still outside of the state in terms of pressure and actually getting into a relationship?
No,
Does any panelists want to address that? Magda already said no.
no. No, that pressure is still the same. Like that, I think maybe it might be different because it's for men, but whether you're back home or in the state, the pressure is still the same. It's gonna be the same from the time you are 13 years old all the way up until you are 69. It's gonna be the same no matter what, especially from like an island household. I can't speak for the islands, but in a Haitian household, that pressure will remain the same no matter what.
Does anyone, including Amla, you're more than welcome to answer. Anyone else want to say, is there any difference for any of you that may be aware of, have a back home to even reference to? Do you think there's a difference in expectations for relationships?
I agree with Magna that it's about the same because I do come from a Jamaican background.
I'm
So
sorry to hear that. I mean, that's good to know.
but they do have the expectation, but they're not as strict as Haitians are in the household, that when you bring somebody home, they're willing to like give them the 21 questions and grill them and then give you their view at the end of the night to say if they're the one or they're not the one in your family. So the pressure grows more if they like the person and you may want to cut it off with that person, or the person wants to cut things off with you, where it's hard to disappoint them that this is not going to work out.
Appreciate you sharing that. Was there anyone else? All right, everybody. I want to take this opportunity as we draw to a close to thank all my panelists and those who jumped on afterwards to ask the question and to join the overflow. And I also want to highlight, if you don't know what F.L.O.W is about, look at your screen. It's about young adults coming together to talk about real things as it impact our lives. And we don't shy away from all of the intersecting aspects of our character. Well, what do I mean by that? A lot of us here ascribe to being Christians. I know I do as well. I'm actually very active in my faith, but I also believe it's not even a but. And I also believe that active faith requires me to understand the cultures and the environments that I exist in and exist around me, and how I can grow my faith in that frame. So F.L.O.W, through fellowship, through love, through outreach, through worship, we create these spaces that are supposed to be accessible to everybody. Tell your friends, tell anybody you know about F.L.O.W, because what we want to do is talk about things that impact their lives in real ways. And we're not just about talk, we're about doing things as well. As we enter into this season, we're looking to establish some of our outreach ministries to help support schools with snacks. We also have some things budding, like building a scholarship. F.L.O.W wants to have its own scholarship to encourage and to support students to go to schools, private schools right now. But if you know somebody that needs help, you see the bumper there. If you're interested in ordering a F.L.O.W t-shirt, the funds go directly to supporting our outreach ministry. Please do so. We have everything on the weekends, man. On Fridays, we have our Bible study and we get deep into it. It's basically a spiritual cipher. People come together and we drop knowledge and we bounce it off each other. Saturday mornings, we have our Sabbath school and we get deep knowledge and talk about questions. And then you find us here at 4:30 and we talk about the real things as it comes up for us. So what's the connection? That's our new segment. I'm going to talk about the connection. Now I'm going to share two scriptures with you. 1 Corinthians 14, verse 33 says, "For God, who is the source of prophesying, is not a God of confusion and disorder, but of peace and order." Yo, and we talk about cuffing season. I want to encourage everybody out there to be mindful. Yo, God is not one for confusion. If you find yourself in a situationship or an entanglement that's confusion, there's a good chance that God might not be in it. And I got to challenge all of us Christians to be honest about ourselves. Sometimes we find ourselves in, sorry, I use that a lot. We find ourselves in a relationship that is nothing but confusion. And if you're really trying to be godly, you better ask yourself, yo, is God in this and did I put him in this? But if you're asking yourself, but well, how do I get into a relationship, cuffing season or not, that isn't confused? Well, I want you to look at James 1 verse 5. James 1 verse 5 says, "If any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, that giveth to all men, women, people liberally, and upbraideth not, and it shall be given to him." Yo, let's be honest, young adults. Have you really stopped and asked and prayed and really talked to God about, like, yo, God, look, right now I'm at least willing to engage in some type of relationship. I want to maintain my Christianity. I want to maintain my purity and purity of thought and mind with you. Can you help guide me in this? Because I wouldn't mind having somebody to go to game night with. I wouldn't mind having somebody to hit a movie up with. But Lord, I also want to honor you. If the scripture says, just ask him and he will give it to you liberally. So let's not hesitate, right? If we're believers, we got to lean on the word and be real about it. But don't worry, if you're unsure about how to do some of these things, this is why F.L.O.W is here for you. We're all young adults. We're all talking about our very real experiences, and we want to give space to everyone's voice. So I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation today as we talked about cuffing season, the rules of engagement. We are going to continue with our cuffing season series going forward. So join us next Saturday at 4:30 p.m. Look, we may get some new panelists. We may have Amliv, we may have Barry, you never know. But we want to hear from you. I want to thank, from the bottom of my heart, Magda, Avery, Vondell, and Dylan. I think this is one of my favorite panelist group because I know I was laughing a whole lot. I love the energy that you guys bring. So I hope you are not shy and you come back to us. And to everyone out there, I appreciate you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this YouTube with all your friends. Have them go back and watch. Let's talk about it. And I'll see y'all all here next week. All right. Peace out.